Dear students, welcome back to all of you. Today we will start second chapter. Before we start, a small reminder, you already have received the enough material of first chapter. Please write the notes and submit it. And now we are getting into second chapter in microeconomics. The chapter name is Theory of Consumer Behavior. Theory of consumer behavior. In that, the important topic for our understanding and study today is utility theory. Before we begin the chapter, we'll give you a small introduction to you what is consumer behavior, because the chapter is theory of consumer behavior. Mainly the consumer theory revolves around demand. Demand means buying goods and services in the market. To buy goods and services, associated factor is utility. Therefore, we begin at utility. But before that, we will see the meaning. Consumer behavior is a systematic study or a scientific study or scientific analysis of what? Of individuals or group of individuals or organizations, like we can call them as households. Even an individual or a group of individuals, a family. We don't call it as a family, it is a sociologist term, therefore we call that as a households. When consumers are called as households. So all these things we are systematically studying. What action of a consumer is discussed here? Here we are going to discuss all the activities associated or performed or engaged by these consumers with regards to purchase. Purchase means buying the goods and services, using the goods and services, and disposal of goods and services. So we study systematically the individual's behavior or activities associated with the purchase, use and disposal of goods and services in the economy is called as consumer behavior. Little more, a better understanding I am giving you. How consumers' emotions, attitudes and preferences affect buying behavior. How consumers' emotions, attitudes, preferences affect buying behavior. This studying of buying behavior of the consumer is called as study of consumer behavior. Or little more better one, actions and decisions process of people who purchase goods and services for personal consumption. So we are studying only the actions and decisions of processed by the people. These people who are engaged in purchase of goods and services for personal consumption, for their own consumption, is studied in consumer behavior. So today we will discuss the utility theory. So first of all, we will discuss the meaning. So before that, I am giving you a concept how it is linked. In the behavior of consumer, we study consumers' buying behavior. Consumers' buying behavior. To buy a commodity, consumers should understand the utility, because every commodity has utility. Since it has utility means satisfying power, he purchases that good or a service. You know what is a good, what is a service. Good is a tangible item that satisfies human wants. Tangible items. Services are those goods or non-tangible items that satisfies human wants. So together goods and services are called also as commodities. So every good has a utility. So therefore we are going and understanding what is utility, what are the different types of utility, what are the different approaches of utility, what are the different forms of utility. How this utility is linked to demand, we are going to understand very detailedly, because we haven't seen so far what utility is all about. In Kannada, it is called as Tushti Guna. Utility in economics was first coined by, for your general knowledge, by Swiss mathematician named Daniel Bolloni. So he discovered this concept in economics in 18th century. Then after discovery of this concept only, you can see economic theory started progressing, and this became the basis for various other theories. So this utility concept became the basis or the foundation for the study of other theories or the progress of other theories. So you have heard about FRS. He was a fellow of Royal Society. The Royal Society building, I have kept you on the left side, and on your right below, I am going to give you a detail about what is Fellow of Royal Society. It is an award granted by the Judges of Royal Society of London, so it is in London, to individuals who have made great contribution or a substantial contribution to the improvement of knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Natural knowledge. They include mathematics, engineering science, and mechanical science, medical science, all that. Those who have made their contribution into any of the natural sciences, so they are given this fellowship called Fellow of Royal Society. It's an award. So afterwards, the three economists who comes and how they put their impression on this utility. Just this is also for you general knowledge, because you are going to hear about their names. So we are moving on from 18th century Daniel to 19th century Gibbons, Walras, and Meagher, who developed this concept to a greater level. Gibbons was the first economist to introduce this concept of utility into economics. In economics, very, very systematically, he started to use this concept for the first time. According to him, utility is the basis. I have said already, utility is the basis on which the demand of an individual for a commodity depends. Without utility, no demand, no purchasing of a commodity. People will not purchase if there is no utility in that commodity. If the cloth has the utility to satisfy your want called covering of your body from the sunlight, from natural danger, or to safeguard from the society's norms and cultures, that if doesn't do it, you will not purchase the clothes. You purchase food to feed your hunger and keep you energetic and healthy. If that doesn't give you food, food doesn't give you means you don't consume. So therefore, if you purchase the commodity, it should have utility. That's what utility becomes the basis on which the demand stands. That's what. Next, you have Gibbons. Full name is William Stanley Gibbons. He also has FRS. He's from England. He's an economist as well as logician. His masterpiece is General Mathematical Theory of Political Economics. Economy. So you have applied mathematics in political economy. Till then, still economics was studied under the political science, under the umbrella of political science, more or lessly. So his contribution, he started a mathematical methods putting into economics. He made the case that the economics as a science, he wants to make economics as a science concerned with the quantities and necessarily a mathematical. So he wants to put mathematics a very, very important tool in studying economics. So he started to introduce the quantitative methods, what is applied in maths, to study economics behavior or human behavior very well, because economics studies human behavior only. So one of the human behavior is human being as a consumer. So we can see human being as producer in the next chapter. Here we are going to see human being as a consumer and his consumer behavior only. But real credit of developing utility and studying and putting into economics goes to Alfred Marshall and A.C. Pigou. These are the two great economists without whom the economics comes to an incomplete conclusion, because you may hear them now and often. So therefore we will have a small brief introduction of them. So Alfred Marshall is the father of or the founder of Neoclassical School of Economics, which is a predecessor of many school of economics. So after classical school of economics, Neoclassical School of Economics comes. So after that, modern School of Economics comes. So therefore, Neoclassical School of Economics is one of the important segment in economic studies. So he is known as one of the founder of Neoclassical School of Economics. So he brought new concept, new ideas to the study of economics, especially in, already we had a concept called supply. He brought very new idea into supply, demand, marginal utility, cost of production into a cohesive whole. Means how are they connected? How are they understood? Very comprehensive understanding about economics in interrelation he started to bring. He is a person who wanted mathematics in economics, but he doesn't want the mathematics to rule economics. That's what. He took economics to a more mathematical, rigorous level, but he did not wanted mathematics to overshadow or rule over economics, and thus economics is irrelevant to layman. If you put mathematics in economics and study mathematics from the point of view of economics or economics from the point of view of maths, it becomes irrelevant. Irrelevant means not an important for common man, layman means. So afterwards we have A.C. Pigou. His full name is Arthur Cecil Pigou, and he is a professional English economist. He's professor, and he started to teach in the University of Cambridge in the School of Economics. His contribution to economics is in the welfare economics, business cycle of theory, unemployment, public finance, index numbers, and measure of national income or national output. We are going to see him. And one more thing about Alfred Marshall is his masterpiece, without which economics, study of economics becomes a vague. So that is Principles of Economics. Please, if you have time, please go through this book. It's a wonderful masterpiece of studying economics as a theory. So from there, if you are moving on to the concept of what is utility. So a small introduction I'm putting you in the point of view of your understanding. Every consumer purchases goods and services. Of course, one behavior of the person is purchase. So therefore, he becomes a consumer. Every consumer purchases what? Goods and services. Why? On the basis of satisfaction. He wants satisfaction from that goods. So that person receives satisfaction from that goods, therefore only he purchases. Without satisfaction, he never purchases. So there is an interlink between consumer or a customer and a satisfaction. A consumer purchases goods because it has a satisfaction. So satisfaction in different levels. I don't want to discuss on that. So sometimes generally utility means, generally in if you search in a dictionary of English, you can find these meanings. Generally, general meaning of utility is satisfaction, happiness, benefit. So we are going to see how they are different. So what is utility all around? So we will see today the meaning and the characteristics. In the next video, we will see the cardinal utility and ordinal utility. In the next video, we will see law of diminishing marginal utility. So keeping in mind, so what is utility? It's a 1 mark question, fill in the blanks, and also 1 mark question answer you will get. It's a capacity of a commodity to satisfy wants. What is that? It's a capacity. So it's a power, it's the energy, it's the ability of the commodity. That ability of the commodity, what does it do? It satisfies human wants. Who has this ability? Goods and services. That's all the answer. So anything in this world which satisfies human wants possesses utility. Any good, any services which satisfies human wants, it has utility. So that power, capacity of a good to satisfy human want is called as utility. That power. So that power every commodity has, therefore only consumer purchases. So in short, want satisfying power of the commodity is dash utility. Want satisfying power of the commodity is called as dash utility. So some people sometimes we misunderstand. Therefore only I am giving utility as what and understanding the characteristics. There are 10 to 12 characteristics, but we are not going to discuss all of that. But what is given in your textbook for 2 marks, from here any question you may get, what is utility? Or is utility is a satisfaction? Is utility is a psychological? Is utility is not for morality? it is neutral between the ends. All that such silly questions or simple questions can be asked. So looks to be silly but very important. So first of all, let me bifurcate the difference between utility and satisfaction. So utility is not satisfaction. The first character. Utility is different, satisfaction is different. Why? How? We are going to see. Consumer gets satisfaction only after consumption. Consumer gets satisfaction only after the consumption of a commodity. Therefore, it is derived satisfaction. So utility is calculation of one satisfying power of a particular commodity. It is before satisfaction. Utility is measured or calculated before consumption of a commodity. Therefore, it is called as before consumption. What you expect from the commodity is called as utility. What is utility? What you expect from a commodity to satisfy your want is called as utility. Therefore, it is not a derivative satisfaction, it is called as utility. So, it is called as expected satisfaction. Utility is in short called as expected, what you expect. It's not a derived satisfaction, it's an expected satisfaction. Expected satisfaction is called as utility. Derived satisfaction is called as satisfaction. So let me give you the difference with a picture. So utility is pre-consumption. Pre-consumption means before consumption. So assumed satisfaction or expected satisfaction. A consumer is here and he is expecting to consume a commodity, a bread or a bun or a donut. So donut he wanted to consume. So what he expects, what is the satisfaction he gets? But he did not get the satisfaction. He is expecting the satisfaction. That is called as utility from that commodity. So satisfaction means it is after the consumption. See, the person is consuming. After consuming that donut, he gets a satisfaction. That is called satisfaction. That is realized satisfaction or actualized satisfaction. It is post-consumption. Post means after the consumption. So satisfaction is a realized or derived satisfaction. Utility is expected or assumed satisfaction before consumption. So from here, if you are moving on, utility is not usefulness. Again, is utility a usefulness? Answer is no. Utility cannot be usefulness. Utility cannot be usefulness completely. But utility is formed, okay, all the useful things has utility. All the useful goods and services are called as in utility. But come to see, every commodity in this world satisfies human wants, but need not be good things. They need not be good things. They need not possess utility. They need not possess usefulness. They need not possess usefulness. All the goods has utility, but need not be having usefulness. Because those commodity may be harmful or injurious to our health, our body, our living. For example, the drugs or the poison. What does the poison do? The poison is used to kill human being or anything. So it does its work. So it possesses utility. But is it useful to the society? No. So bomb. What is the utility of the bomb? It is to destroy. Destroy that area. Is it useful? Of course not. It's not useful. It has not having usefulness, but it has a utility. But it is used for that purpose. So liquor, cigarette, all are harmful, dangerous, drugs, poison, etc. All that has no usefulness, but they have utility because they satisfy human wants. See that? All these things satisfy but not possess any usefulness. So utility is different, usefulness is different. So every commodity need not be useful, but every commodity should have utility. From there, utility is subjective or psychological concept because utility depends on the consumer's thinking. Utility completely depends on your thinking. You think this video is more useful. Some think it's not useful. So, some think this particular video, what you are hearing, is more informative. very near to the exam and helpful for your exams. Something, oh, this is not at all useful, we'll hear it afterwards. So it differs from or changes from, varies from individual to individual, and time to time, it varies from time to time, and also it varies from place to place. So it differs from place to place. As the same person, but a place changes, it satisfaction is different or utility is different. See, now here the winter dress here is useless in Chikballapur or Kolar area, but it is very useful in the Himalayan region, without which we cannot survive. The winter dress. The same time, the winter dress in Rajasthan, if you use it, it's not at all having any utility. So it differs for the same person, for the same different place, it doesn't having utility. For example, you are an individual, you think this video is very having highly utility because you are not written the exam. After 5 years, this same video or the same class may not be having utility for you because you already have passed through that. So same person, but as the time differs, utility differs. So therefore, consumer knows utility as introspective. You need to understand and analyze what is utility for you. So therefore, it is psychological concept or subjective concept. Utility does not speak on morality. Utility does not speak on morality. Morality means always it is ethical. What is right and what is wrong. What is do's and what is don'ts. Utility doesn't speak anything of that. Utility never makes any remark on any virtue or any ethics. Neither it says right, neither it says wrong. It is always neutral. Neither nor it doesn't speak. So therefore, utility never puts any remarks on anything. Because even cigarette, so it is bad to the society. Or drinks, alcohol, or any kind of drugs, it is not at all useful, but it is having utility. Therefore, if it speaks rightness or wrongness, or usefulness or uselessness, so it has to speak rightness and wrongness. So therefore, it doesn't speak rightness and wrongness. Always it speaks neutrality or indifferent. Man, utility becomes indifferent. Indifferent means neither says right nor says wrong. So from here, if you move on to that, there are two concepts, two approaches. Utility can be seen in two different ways. One is cardinal utility, the other one is ordinal utility. So these both the terms have been borrowed from mathematics. This both the cardinal and ordinal utility, cardinal and ordinal. These two terms have been borrowed from mathematics. So therefore, we have taken that in the utility form. So therefore, ordinal utility approach and cardinal utility approach, it has been taken. So all that two things explains the consumer's demand theory. You can see demand from cardinal utility approach, and you can see consumer's demand from ordinal utility approach. So what is cardinal numbers? So in mathematics, cardinal numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the cardinal numbers what you see. And ordinal numbers like 1, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, like that. This is ordinal numbers. Mostly it is kept in the form of preferences. Preferences. So I prefer this, I give this first chance, second chance, third chance. It depends on your choice. Okay, it doesn't stand on any cardinal numbers. It's purely ordinal numbers. So I am giving you Roman numbers like that. So, cardinal utility approach, I am going to deal with and make you understand. Here, cardinal utility is satisfaction derived by the consumer. Derived means received by the consumer from the consumption. After consuming only, you will get as, what is that? Satisfaction. So, from the consumption, what a commodity is measured. So, cardinal utility, where utility is measured and compared. Please remember, the satisfaction or the utility where it is measured and compared, that is called as cardinal utility. So it is measured and compared in what numbers? Cardinal numbers. So once you measure them, automatically you are comparing them. So take an example. If apple gives you 50 units of utility and a banana gives 40 units, so what is that? You gave a cardinal numbers. You measured everything in cardinal numbers, 50 and 40 units. So automatically comparison is over. That's 50 is greater than 40. So apple gives more utility than banana. That's a conclusion out of it. So here the utility, since it is in cardinal numbers, you can add. So 40 plus 50, it is 90. So you can subtract. 50 minus 40 is 10. So extra 10 you got. Multiply. So 5 apples if you consume at different times, you get 50-50. How much? You got 250 units of satisfaction. So you can multiply them. So you can subtract them, you can make additions. So here purely addition, subtraction and multiplication, since it is borrowed from mathematical terms. Second one, it is this cardinal approach is on certain assumptions. Keep you in mind, just a reminder. From the point of view exam, much importance is not given, but you should know, without which you can't study the future concepts of it. Because when I speak some of the words, you should know why it is and what under what circumstances I am using. First of all, consumer must be rational. Rational means consumer wants maximum satisfaction. Maximum means a large satisfaction, a great satisfaction. But conditions apply, his income is limited. What is his income? Less. His disposable income is less. Why income I am going? Since goods and services consumes less, but he wants more satisfaction. Goods and services purchased is less, means his income also is less. Cardinal utility is measurable. You know already it is measured in terms of cardinal numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It's all imaginary numbers you are giving for a apple, banana, mango, chiku, for not only fruits, vegetables, not only for that, food items, for everything you can measure in this world. All the goods what you purchase, you can give a cardinal utility numbers or imaginary numbers. Assisting for your preferences. So I like apple because it gives me 50 units of utility, whereas I don't like banana because it gives 40. So I need to purchase apple only. Even doctor has said that. Okay, eating an apple a day keeps the doctors away. So that's what the doctor has said. So to keep the doctor away, the doctor only suggests. That's the idea and beauty of it. Marginal utility of money remains unchanged. So the purchasing money of a commodity. So to purchase a commodity, you have to pay a money, right? That utility, marginal utility remains the same. So I will discuss what is marginal utility and how money's marginal utility remains unchanged. We will later discuss. So without understanding marginal utility, you can't understand unchanged better. So independent utilities. The utility derived from the consumption of a commodity is a function of the quantity of that commodity alone. So the utility what we have derived from apple belongs to apple only. It doesn't have any comparison to banana. Because I got 50-50 it is. So I'm not preferring that this is better than that. We are measuring only. Afterwards only we will compare. So without measuring we cannot compare. Therefore measuring it is an independent measurable unit. Measuring is an independent unit. So we are not always comparison. We are always measurable. Then only we come for comparisons. It does not depend at all on the quantity of consumed of other commodities. So our utility measurement does not stand on the consumption of another commodity. So it is not based on banana, our utility is measured. It is measured because on our mental satisfaction that we have received. Hence the commodity possesses independent utilities and are additive, addition you can make it, and subtraction and even multiplication we can make it. So it is a basis for diminishing marginal utility. We will study a little later while from. Okay, it is assumed that marginal utility derived from the consumption of a commodity diminishes continuously as its consumption increases. Very simple. The commodity consumed is increased. let us say consumption of apple is increased. Consumption of apple is increased. The utility what you get from, the satisfaction which you get from consumption of apple reduces. Means as you increase the commodity consumption, the utility derived from that commodity decreases. You can try it at home. As you eat more and more apple, first apple gives more utility, and the fifth or the sixth apple gives not at all any utility. Sometimes it gives you a vomiting sensation. Nausea. It is called as nausea, feeling of vomiting sensation. So same commodity, but only it seems to be the fifth or sixth apple it is giving. But first apple gave more utility. So that is called as law of diminishing marginal utility. We'll discuss it later. While introspective method, the cardinal school states utility derived in the mind of another person cannot be judged. You can't judge. With the help of self-observation, I arrived at a conclusion that I purchase more and more of a commodity, the less utility I derived from the additional unit of it. By applying the same principle, I will be able to read the other people's mind, say with confidence, the marginal utility of a commodity diminishes as they have more units of commodity. So when I judge my mind, I can be able to judge the minds of other. What applies to me applies to everyone. When the price is more, I purchase less. When the price of a tomato is more, I purchase less. Now the price of tomato is less, so I purchase more. It is not only applied to me, it applies to everyone in this world. Exceptions are there, but that is what called conditional. So introspective method. When I introspect myself, I can introspect everyone. So I arrive at a conclusion. So gist of it, cardinal utility approach. Who developed this one? It is developed by Alfred Marshall. The promoter is Alfred Marshall. Therefore, it is called also Marshallian utility approach. Cardinal utility is called as Marshallian utility approach. It is the basis for law of diminishing marginal utility, without which you cannot study law of diminishing marginal utility. Next video is on that. Law of diminishing margin. Measuring rod of utility is the money. So, money, and assume that marginal utility of the money is constant. Therefore, money is used as measuring unit here of the utility of a commodity. Objective of consumer, maximum satisfaction. What is object means, what is the goal of every consumer? Of course, he wants maximum satisfaction. Not only that, you also want maximum marks. Because of that only you are hearing this entire video of 32 minutes so far. So, limitations of this, what are the failures? So, this approach fails to analyze the effective of price effect into income effect and substitution effect. So, this approach properly cannot analyze price effect, income effect and substitution effect well. So, therefore only Pareto, an economist named Pareto, severely criticized by stating utility is neither quantifiable means measurable, nor addible. Addible means you cannot add utility. However, you can do only utility is comparable. So this chair is better than that chair. How much? We can't say. Why do you like this tomato or apple than banana? You cannot say this gives 50 units of utility and banana gives 40. You can never say that. You can always state that I love apple than banana. That's what it is, always a comparable rather than quantifiable or addible. Hicks and Allen were the another economist who severely criticized this cardinal approach and gave another approach, that is only ordinal approach, that is called as introducing of a concept called indifference curves. So ordinal utility is studied under indifference curves. So with that we are moving on to cardinal utility to ordinal utility. We will finish up now and have a nice day.